I vividly recall most of it. I was young, about 5 years old, and I lived in a family house with other relatives, one of whom was about 10 years older than I was. I was continually molested by him. Growing up with that burden wasn't easy. I desperately wanted to tell somebody, anybody, but I was a child. There was no telling what people would say or do to me. So I decided to live with it instead. At 8, I've had enough, and I decided to open up to another relative that lived with me. However, the tables turned quickly. She started threatening to tell my parents. Just one more person to be afraid of now. What I did not know at this point was that she was a victim of the same thing that held me captive. Then came that day that would change my life forever, or so I thought. I remember it like yesterday. We lived in a residential area, which meant a lot of parents going to work and leaving their kids at home, especially during the holidays. Home alone, without supervision of adults. A group of boys came over and together with my aunt played the movie. Only it was not a regular movie. It was not like anything I'd ever seen. It was an adult movie. This was my first experience with pornography. The movie ended and they asked if I enjoyed it. I said, naive child, I said yes. And somehow that sounded like consent to them, because for years to come, they would molest me whenever they had the opportunity to. This happened severally until the masturbation started. I started on a day I was part of a children's drama, and I caught myself masturbating with a pillow. Of course, I didn't know what it was called, or whether there was a name for it at that time, but I lived with that. Sexual molestation, pornography, for 13 years. For the most part of my life, I lived with depression, shame, fear, anger. I was even suicidal. Every time I think that I was special and I had lived my life in condemnation, and because I needed to out from the pain, I turned to pornography and masturbation even more. When I was no longer turned on by human to unhuman, I moved on to human on pretty much anything else, gay pornography included. It was very deep for me because it was the only place I found excitement and temporary happiness. I kept this secret for years, never told anyone, until I got the courage to tell some pastors. Believe me, I went for deliverance. But I thought the demon had crawled out of me, but it didn't. It was still there. I knew that for every time I did, it was a very temporary enjoyment that it would eventually end, and I would snap back into condemnation and depression. I tried in my strength to get out of it, but I just always went back. I started writing things about myself in a book about how unworthy, ugly, and worthless I am. A friend of mine saw that book, read it to me, and said to me, "Hannah, you don't know what you have." Believe me. And that was one of the seeds that God used to change my life. It, however, wasn't enough, but I was still depressed and angry. Coming to Russia, nothing changed much. I still did everything I used to do, though I still felt a lot of ways. I used to feel confidence in Christ and not yourself. I was amazed because all my life I had been trying to stop, but I was doing it in my own strength. I went home that day, told God, and I knelt down and I told God, I don't want to do it in my own strength again. Help me. Though it gave me courage to stop doing it, but I was still condemned. I eventually met a brother in church who I was led to open up to. It was the first time I ever talked so freely about it without hiding anything. He gave me the best advice, and I believe he set me free. Romans 8 verse 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. He spoke the word, and through that God gave me victory. The most important thing for me was about no condemnation. No condemnation tells you that nothing can ever put you under bondage, because now you're in Christ Jesus. You understand that there is someone that loves you above anything else, and despite your actions and how horrible they may be, he still loves you. Nothing, absolutely nothing can separate you from the one who loves you. And if he doesn't condemn you, no one, not even you, should condemn yourself. No one can condemn you. Remember that. The message of his love and grace saved me. I started to understand that the enemy wanted to only give me temporary happiness by gratifying my flesh, but God had always wanted and offered me more. He has always wanted me to know that I am valued and blood-bought. My name is Hannah Mamadou, and this is my testimony.